Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to another Wednesday night episode. The last one of November, actually. Tomorrow it's December. Tomorrow it's Christmas month. Tomorrow you can officially listen to all the Christmas tunes on the radio. It's allowed, right? You can put trees up and stuff. I feel like it's all right from tomorrow because it's December. Welcome back to the 40k show. Welcome back to our Wednesday night dose of all things 40k. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to hit all those magical buttons that YouTube loves for you to hit so much. That like, that subscribe, etc, etc, etc. It's all super important to us. So thank you so much, all of you beautiful people, for hanging out with us tonight. And likes, etc. just really help us. Helps the video do well. Helps everything do well and do better, etc. Right? So, I know we missed the Sunday show. I'm very, very sorry for missing the Sunday show with all you beautiful people. We did explain it to our members only last night on a members only stream, where I took the Harlequins against Brom's Ultramarines once again. So this particular weekend was the Deployment Zone GT. I head TO'd it. I got back late-ish on Sunday, had roast dinner. By the time we'd finished eating, the stream would have started. So I'm very sorry that we missed Sunday. But we were back yesterday on members only. We did do a brand new piece of content on Monday, actually. If you are, in fact, a Deployment Zone subscriber, if you are a member of DZTV, I was supposed to be doing a live stream on Mondays in DZTV as new additional content for the website, and it was an absolute, complete and utter fucking car crash. Didn't work at all. However, we then stumbled across something genius. We jumped into the broadcast section of Discord for DZ, and we did kind of like a brand new radio show, which was super fancy. I really enjoyed it. So we're going to try and keep that up. Going to try and do another one this Monday. Basically, I sit there, I maybe have a co-presenter, and then people in the audience can dial in and talk about their burning issues or a question or whatever, and then we answer it live on stream, which was super exciting. Anywho, tonight's video. What is the one thing Games Workshop needs to do? So I like these kinds of videos for a few reasons. First of all, because I have my own opinions on what Games Workshop needs to do, and we can continue to return to this topic throughout the course of the hour that we're sat here for tonight, but also because it typically encourages you lot to super chat tons to give us your particular answers as well as to what you think the one thing Games Workshop needs to do is, which is always very, very interesting. But obviously I've got my own ideas, and I think it's super simple, and actually, I think that this was probably a thought that came out of the video we did on Monday with DZ, right? I think it came from that. So we spoke to a viewer on Monday called Riven. I don't know if he's in chat. If he is, wave. Who talked about the fact that he's an avid Krieg supporter and follower and collector. And he's got tons of Krieg models, right? And what he's done throughout his collecting career, we'll call it, with the Deathcore of Krieg, is he's amassed a lot of models, obviously. And I'm sure a lot of you will already be aware of this. This is a specific instance. This has happened a few times to a few different people with a few different collections. But on this specific instance, he's bought things like Engineers and Grenadiers and stuff like that, right? Super cool Krieg models that had super cool Krieg rules, because that's what you want. Apart from the fact that when the Imperial Armour Compendium came out this time round for 9th edition, they just didn't have any rules for those particular models whatsoever. They got rid of them. They essentially Legends them without really giving them Legends rules, which is a real feels bad for any collector, let alone someone who's put a lot of money into resin miniatures from Forge World that are wildly more expensive than your standard plastic and an absolute shit to put together at the same time. Now that got me thinking. It got us talking, got me thinking. This isn't the only time it's happened. It's happened a few times. Let's talk Commissar Yarrick, okay? Anyone who's had a Commissar Yarrick model now, strictly with the new Astra Militarum Codex, won't be able to field them. Again, not the only time it's happened. There's a few different occurrences where these sorts of things have happened, where people have collected models or units. Furies, Chaos Furies. Chaos Furies were actually wildly popular in 8th edition for reasons specifically amongst competitive players. And in 8th edition, lots and lots of competitive players had lots and lots of Furies. Furies aren't in the new Chaos Demons Codex. They're gone. They've been removed. So anyone who's collected them, anyone who's bought them, anyone who's paid for them, they're not there anymore. They've removed the rules for them. Now, there is some arguments out there where people will say GW no longer provide rules for models they don't create, and it's all to do with IP.
Feel his pain, pensive face.
I turned her off so she didn't interrupt me, and she's obviously ignored me. Disable. Super chat. Disabled. Save. Fucking honestly, Streamlabs. Thank you, One Masterful, for the donation. Anyway, I was on a rant for a brief moment. So it's not the only time it's happened, right? So the IP police out there will tell you that the reason why GW do this specifically is because it's about IP control, okay? So if they don't produce rules for a model, or they don't produce the model, I should say, for the rules that they've produced, and someone else produces it, they can't then go after them legally because they don't themselves produce a model. So I understand kind of why they do it. I do understand kind of why they do it. They're protecting their IP, they're protecting their financial interest in essence. So if they created a unit and they had no models for it, and a third party came along and made resin models for said unit, GW arguably couldn't shut them down because they're not ripping off a current product. They're just creating a model for a rule set that exists that doesn't already have a physical representation. Okay, perfect. So I get why they do it. That being said, it's always going to create a feels bad for the person who has bought those models, bought those kits, lovingly, painstakingly put them together, painted them, etc. Now, it was interesting. I saw when I posted on Facebook about tonight's stream, or when I saw some of the very early comments in the stream, people were already coming on the make a better app, make a better rule set, make a more friendly and accessible rule set for people, remove stratagems to get rid of stratagem bloat. This is why I think this topic, to me, is very, very interesting, because lots and lots and lots of people have their own thoughts and opinions on this particular topic and what they would do, what's the one thing Games Workshop needs to do. But I think I've come up with a golden egg. I think I've come up with the sole one thing Games Workshop needs to do, if I'm honest. So I'm going to throw at you. Tell you people what I think the one thing is that they need to do. And it's not creating more accessible rules. It's not removing rules bloat. It's not even coming away from the competitive scene. These are all things that I think would benefit the hobby. It's all things we've talked about in the past, all things we've talked about in terms of how that would improve accessibility for brand new players, bring people into the hobby, maybe make it more fun and interesting, maybe come away from admin and bookkeeping, etc. I agree with all of those things. But if I had to pick one thing, and there is one thing I think that isn't too far-fetched as well, it's something that I definitely think they could achieve. They've kind of been going down the path for a while. They haven't quite nailed it yet. One thing that I think Games Workshop needs to do, it's improve their communication. It's as simple as that. If they were to talk to us as a fan base, as a community, as individuals who play the hobby, about why they do certain things, what they're doing, when they're doing it, I think that would significantly improve a lot of people's attitudes towards Games Workshop as a corporation, as a brand, as a company. So if they were to tell us, here's your roadmap for Codex releases for 9th edition, if they were to tell us, actually, just to warn you off, that in the new edition of 40k, Grenadiers will no longer be a thing, just to let you know, right? It's just not that difficult, really, of a thing to achieve. So we can tell you guys now in advance, for example, that in March, the new edition of 40k is coming, and in April, the new edition of the Astra Militarum Codex is coming. I'm pulling months out my backside here on purpose, right? So no one thinks I'm actually giving you any sort of hints or tips or information. And what we are going to also say is when we do drop the newer version of 40k and the new Astra Militarum Codex, we're going to remove basilisks. Okay? If they told us that roadmap, some people would go out there and they would panic buy basilisks because they would think they're going to be discontinued. Some people would not buy the codex, or some people would buy the codex because they want the current one, and some people wouldn't buy the codex because they just want the new one. Right? It gives everyone that information and removes that feel bads moment. Who here has bought a codex in the past only to find that it's been replaced a month and a half later and had no idea it was even coming? Because typically the previews only start a couple of weeks beforehand, right? And there's other things that they've done. Let's talk. What's the name of the cow elves? Not Ideneth, Lumineth Realm Lords for AOS. Where they bought a limited edition codex out that lasted like 8 months before they brought out a replacement. Like, communicate with your fan base. Tell them what's going on. Tell them the things that you're doing and why. Tell them why you're no longer producing engineers. Maybe the Forge World mold broke and maybe it costs £500,000 to replace it. We don't know those things, and we don't need to know the granular detail of how much it costs to replace the mould. But perhaps if they at least said to us, we've got to stop producing engineers because the mould has broken. So what's left is left, and when it's gone, it's gone. And we're not going to pay to replace this mould because the business cost is extortionate. And instead, we're going to continue to develop our plastic range, which is more popular. Right? If they communicated that with their audience, wouldn't the audience just be that much happier? I just feel like it would. Considering Games Workshop as a business is big. Businesses are obviously, what's the word I'm looking for? Not relevant, but they are... There's a word. They're proportionate to their audience, I suppose, is probably the correct word. And when we look at 40K, when we look at Games Workshop, as a business, proportionately to other major businesses globally, they're not massive, right? You compare Games Workshop to Amazon or Apple or other global brands like that, they're not massive. In the gaming space, they're the biggest. By a country mile, they are the biggest, right? So... But in the grand scheme of things, in the global scheme of things, they're not a bigger business. So is it really that far-fetched to think that Mr. James Workshop himself would employ a few people whose job it was to simply communicate with their fan base? It's just not that hard. As social media influencers, yes, I hate the phrase, we have to communicate to our audience almost on a daily basis. I'm not suggesting for one moment that they do that. I'm not suggesting that they follow our model, but newsletters, information, places in the website. So the community page, I was really hopeful for the community page when the community page started years ago. I thought it'd give us tons and tons and tons of really good information. It seems to now have turned into a constant stream of sales articles. And what they don't seem to realise is this product fucking sold itself anyway before the community page even existed. And I'm not saying don't do the sales articles. I'm not saying don't do that. Of course, every business is going to do the sales article. What I'm saying is, instead of doing the sales article, also intersperse it with information-based articles that are going to give us the information that we need to make informed decisions, so we then don't have feels-bads moments where we buy expensive Forge World Creed kits we can no longer use because they're legends, or codexes that are outdated 2 months later, or any of that kind of stuff, right? That's my point. So the one thing in my mind I think Games Workshop needs to do personally is to improve their communication with us. And that kind of goes a little hand in hand with being more honest. Simple as that. It fixes so many things, in my personal opinion. And with that, we then turn on the Super Chat alert box now, after she interrupted us before. We say thank you to everybody who's gifted so far. We'll get to that in just a second. Now you guys can have your thoughts. What do you think? Would it be a monumental leap? Would it massively increase your faith in GW and the company if they were to be more clear, more honest, and more concise with what they were telling you, and more open in general? Like, I just feel like no one loses from it at all. No one loses from them being better with their communication. Everybody gains. So yes, we could say the one thing they need to do is fix the game, make it less competitive, reduce stratagems, increase this, use D12, whatever the things are that each individual person wants. But what you have to realise is, here's another thing, chat, right? I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to get to these super chats, I promise you. I'm going to go off on a tangent. Here's another thing. When you think that they should reduce stratagems, which I agree with, to be fair, when you think that they should increase stratagems or decrease stratagems, you have to remember that there are people out there who like it the way it is. When you think they should come away from D6 and go to D12s, you have to remember there are people that like the D6 system. When you say they have to come away from competitive play and go more towards narrative and fun, you have to realise there's a huge audience out there who likes competitive play, right? Improving communication, no one loses out if they improve their communication. And I would argue, because some people will say that they won't communicate more openly and honestly what their roadmap is for codexes or what their plans are for model releases and shutting models off of the website, etc., because they might sell less. I would argue the opposite. I would argue if they did these things, they'd actually sell more. People go mad for classic old models. Some people love Old Hammer. People don't want to lose out on the chance to buy a codex that's got narrative in it. People like that they've got the last 5 editions of the Astra Militarum Codex on their shelf. So I don't feel like they would lose out. I feel like they'd probably gain more sales. People could more effectively plan their purchases. for the hobby. All right, there's hobbyists out there that they'll go without fucking meals before they go without plastic. So I feel like they'd more effectively plan their purchases as well, right? I just think that improving the communication would be a major step in the right direction. Anywho, are you staying here? Okay, I'll turn your mic on. For some reason, I thought you were going to put the kids to bed. So, but
yes.
The reason why we're not putting the kids to bed, and the reason why I have a drink on a Wednesday, chat, is because although I'm not on leave, we do a thing in this household. So because we home educate the children, what we can do is we can have no 6 weeks holiday. Well, we had like 2 weeks off, no normal 6 weeks holiday. We don't have half-term weeks at the same time all the other children have half-term weeks. What it does mean is when we hit December, we just take the whole month off for education. Why do kids get 6 weeks off in the summer when it's hot and sticky and fucking everyone's going to dehydrate, and then at Christmas when they're the most excited that they are all year, they get 14 days? So we take the whole of Christmas off. So cheers to start with.
I'm reading something quite interesting over here.
Okay.
You know my cigarette smoke smelling thing?
Lucy's convinced she's got an aneurysm.
Yeah. I think I'm going to drop down any minute now.
Okay, yeah, go on.
So I googled on the NHS, everybody, don't panic, the cigarette smoke thing. Obviously I've got cancer, obviously.
Of course, yeah, that's the first diagnosis.
I'm going to die tomorrow. But it says here, common long-term effects of long COVID include shortness of breath, problems with memory, difficulty sleeping, dizziness and heart palpitations.
Okay.
And you have to retrain your brain with smells. And I got diagnosed with SVT earlier in the year. I had that weird insomnia thing.
So this isn't even remotely relevant to what we were talking about?
No, I just...
Right, okay, I'll mute you again. I'll just mute you again. War Master Will, thank you so much for your super chat. I feel his pain. Yeah, I know. He was a little bit annoyed by it. Jonathan De Silva, thank you for the poo. Every single night now. Thank you for the poo. Dave B, got guard deck. So excited it's now stuck together. You need to be able to keep using it, Dave. That's the problem. Meg, you're a legend and I love you. Thank you for the gifted membership. Soups, I love you even more because you gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much to both of you beautiful people for gifting memberships. I will now update my membership tracker, of which we have a target which ends tonight. People.
Oh, yeah.
We have a target that ends tonight. We're so close. Thank you so much for gifted memberships. It's an incredible way of supporting us. I'm very, very grateful. If you have been gifted a membership, !Discord in the chat. Make sure you hit the link and then link your YouTube account to your Discord account. It unlocks all the Discord. You come and hang out with us at the Great Hall. It's full of beautiful, wonderful, horrifically horrible people as well. No, I'm joking. Not horrible people. It's full of beautiful people. The Great Hall's amazing. And I'm very proud of our incredible little community. At the DZGT this last weekend, there was a few of them there yet again, hanging out, rolling dice together, playing each other in games. It was just amazing. Just amazing. So, super proud of our little community and what we're achieving at the moment. It's just amazing. Lucy's a little quiet. She's just talking quiet. She's in front of her microphone. Her levels are the same, so it'll be fine. Don't worry, guys. Thanks very much. Colonel says, giving the kids the month off, smart, very much. It's December, right? Let's be honest. How many people at schools in the month of December did any learning anyway? I know I fucking didn't.
It was all rehearsal for the nativity.
Watching films.
Yeah. Christmas choir.
No one was doing any education in December anyway, so you might as well just give it to them off.
It's all education. It's all something. It can be attributed to something, but it's not. It was never like curriculum learning, because what an opportunity to get the arts and crafts out and just put PVA glue on your hand and then peel it off in assembly. Yeah. Because everything's PVA glue. I've been PVA gluing today. Peeling the PVA glue thing off your hand. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I could do that for hours. A big shout out to Sheep Avenger for gifting 20 memberships. You absolute fucking legend. Thank you so much. I love you very dearly. Guys, make sure you use those memberships. Ben then gifted another 5. You're also a hero. And these people are spending their own money so you can try out our Discord server and our members-only content. So please try it, because I'm really convinced that if you try it, you'll love it and you'll stick around. And that's amazingly important for us as well, because we've got lots and lots of big plans for the channel in the new year, and we've got plans for the channel after that. Like we're starting to map out future plans in general. Consistent membership revenue is so important to those plans.
A friend was making fun of me today about me being a virgin. I said, well, I was till last night, mate. Just ask your sister. He said, but I don't have a sister. I told him you will in about 9 months. Thumbs up.
Fucking shocking, Eston. Oh my lord. Brilliant. Brilliant. Love you very dearly. But yeah, thank you for the super chat as well. So we are in the last, actually, this is interesting. I say it's interesting. I think it's interesting. We're in the last day of November, which means it's the last stream where 10% of our super chat revenue will be donated to the Royal British Legion, which is a charity here in the UK that supports forces, veterans, people that have suffered, people that are suffering, etc. So it's a charity close to my heart. Next month we'll return to Mind. So yeah, right, perfect. You're all heroes. If you, like I said, if you have been gifted a membership, if you have decided to hit that little link and come and join us in Discord, start chatting, talk to people. There's a guy who has been a member for a little while, came to the GT this last weekend, enjoyed it so much, he then upgraded his membership in Discord and decided he was going to become more active just because of our crowd, just because of the people that were there. I'm very proud of you people. You're amazing. I'm very proud of people like Warmaster Will, who turned up to the DZ GT this weekend with Red Corsairs. He won most sporting player. So we give every single player a sheet of paper, right? And each player on the sheet of paper can vote for 2 people that they play. I didn't like having to pick one person, so I let everyone pick 2 people. It can be any 2 people that they played over the weekend. So it could be 2 people from Saturday, 2 people from Sunday, 1 person from each day. They can leave it blank if they want. If they thought everyone was a dickhead, just leave it blank. That's fine as well. But everyone can vote for 2 people. And then what we do is we stand up there, and the person who got the highest number of votes wins an award for most sporting player. If the results are tied, the person who came the highest, who also has the highest number of most sporting votes, then wins the award. Why? Because it's harder to win most sporting if you're actually going around kicking people's dicks in on the tabletop as well. What we also have started doing is we give honourable mentions to anybody who has 3 or more votes, because that's just quite high. This weekend, we had 8 honourable mentions for people with 3 or more votes, which is amazing. And then Will not only won most sporting, but he won most sporting with 5 favourite game votes.
Amazing.
So everybody he played voted for him.
Oh.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like, that's just incredible. I don't know. That's amazing. So congratulations, Will Muswell. Big claps to you, man. I know you're probably sat there quite embarrassed right now, but fuck it. I think it's worth talking about because it's amazing, that kind of stuff, right? Absolutely amazing. Dan Pagan says, good evening, everyone. Hope you are good. We are great. Thank you so much.
Talon, Armageddon Steel Legion, Vostroyons, Mordian Iron Guard, Praetorians, Valhallan Ice Warriors, Sergeant Base Ton, Colour Sergeant Kell, Creed Senior, Yarick, Solar Macarias. Haven't we lost enough?
You've lost a fair amount, James, yes.
Yeah, I go with gang from Discord. It's greater fun.
It is great fun, Discord. You guys are incredible. We're getting close to end of year reflection. We're getting quite close to end of year reflection. And
I love a good reflection.
We will do end of year reflection, and I don't think I expected us to be where we are compared to where we started at the start of the year. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of all of you people. It's been an exciting first year of full-time content, and I'm really excited to push on. But this is what I'm saying to you, beautiful people who have been gifted memberships. If you can spare the £5 a month and you enjoy the community and you enjoy the hangouts and you enjoy the content, I genuinely think it's worth it for what we offer. But of course, I'm going to say that I'm the one selling the product. But it's also super important for us because we can plan new staff, new content, new armies, new terrain. And we can't do it without you guys. We didn't launch expecting X number, and we've been ploughing a ton back in. I'm sure you've seen over the course of this year the amount of new armies we've added to the channel, the amount of new terrain pieces we've added to the channel. It's been incredible for us. We've added new equipment. This microphone's because of you guys. The audio deck that this goes through is because of you guys. I'm about to start building, literally this week, a new PC for the stream setup in the garage so we can start putting the games out in 4K because of you guys.
And then,
it's all because of you guys.
And then the telly broke in the garage.
Oh, fucking hell. That's what you need. With the cost of living crisis going on right now, with everything getting more expensive, what you need is to go in the garage, which is our studio, for the stream yesterday, and then set the stream up. And we have a telly in front of the players, so they can see what they look like. They can see what's going on. It is genuinely disconcerting when you can't see what's going on as a player. So we get to see the feed that you guys get to see at the same time. So we can, if Joe puts the list up, we can see the list up. If he brings the list down, we can see the list down. We have to talk to camera again, etc. We walked in yesterday. TV. I mean, to be fair, I bought the TV in 2008.
Yeah, it's
So it's lasted. And yesterday it went pop. So yesterday the TV died.
Yeah.
Which is problem number one. So I've had to buy a new TV out of the fucking business account. I could have done without that expense. And the reason why I could have done without that expense, because guess what happened 4 days ago? The car went pop.
So now I'm stroking the fridge. Don't break.
I'm yet to know how much the fucking car's going to cost me. But that went pop on Friday.
Think positive. We have really good public transport around us. That's the positive thought.
I don't know what to do. It just fucking breaks. Hey ho, it's fine. It's fine because I've got you lot. You lot are amazing. Anyway, Yeston, thank you so much for gifting 5. You fucking hero. For 3D, thank you so much for choosing to become a member with your own money. You're a legend. Thank you so much. I am going to upgrade or update the tracker to the new total number, and we are almost going to hit November's goal. Amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are incredible. But let's get back on target. Let's get back on topic. So I said to you people that the way I think Games Workshop fixes everything is by improving its communication. Right? Simple. Helps everybody, bonuses, benefits everybody. Am I right? Do you think they'll ever do it, or is there a different way? If you could implement one change, if there's one thing you think they need to do, what would it be? Answers on a brightly coloured postcard, right? Jeremy's just sent in a brightly coloured postcard. I'll wait for her to read it out for us. Thank you so much. You're a hero. I'm just Amfred. Perfect. Okay, that makes much more sense than the 3D. I appreciate it. Can't watch anything, can't go anywhere. Guess you better paint some stuff. Well, that's what I've been doing. Hang on, today's job. This is ballsy because if I drop these, I'm going to break them all.
Bad luck fund.
Today's job, look at this. Hang on, hide my eyes. Shroud runners, shining spears, warlock on bike. Today's job.
Uncle Liam, you are one of the best YouTubers.
No, let's not get soppy about this. I appreciate the kind words, thank you, but let's not get soppy about this. Kira says, how late am I on a scale of 1 to 10? We're halfway through, so 5. 5, I reckon, Kira. Thank you for joining us anyway. But you're not the first one to say it. But you were the first one to say it that way. Am I? Really? Okay. Thank you, Big Bad Peter Gaming. Thank you, Jeremy. You're heroes. It's not. It happens, right? Things happen. It is a 14-year-old TV.
Palouse is definitely necessary fridge insurance.
Thank you. Well, we might not even need the fridge because I'm not here from Monday.
No.
So you'll probably all just be putting it in the coolest corner of the house.
They can all just eat old crackers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to empty all the cupboards of food, scatter it around the house. We're going to play a 5-day scavenger hunt.
Oh, God.
By the time you get back,
text me while I'm away.
By the time you get back, the kids will be in grass skirts with spears. It'll be feral. That's what's going to happen. I think GW should do full-on preview roadmap shows like Disney does with the MCU showing upcoming releases. Chad, 100% agree. I would put that in as part of the communication
Just
piece.
to let everybody know, January DZTV GT at Factorum will have a special prize donated by me for the most narrative and fluffy army. Much love, Liam and Lucy. We need a team name for the GT. That's what happens when you have Jag.
He's squeezing as many words as he can there for his super chat. So Lehman has, in fact, offered to donate 2,000 points of plastic Horus Heresy stuff to the most narrative army at January, judged by the judges, which is amazing. So thank you. We're obviously going to graciously accept that prize. It won't become a monthly thing because I can't afford to do that every single month, but amazing. But the guys were very upset that you didn't give them a team name for the GT this weekend.
I found the complaint of Karens. I found that. If they were after something better, then don't come here. I'm not very good at names.
Ben, you're a legend for gifting a membership. Thank you so much. Do you want to set a new target for this stream, or do you want to leave it as it is full for the month? Then tell me. You tell me. You tell me. Send PO box and I'll send you wrap packs for the kids. Amazing. We have got a PO box. We do have a PO box. So Carl sent us this on our PO box. He said I had sent a little note with it, which is underneath that book over there. I'll grab it in a second. But it basically said, "Thank you, team. This could be the start of a." You can't put that book on screen. Hey, Liam and squad.
As a new to the hobby itself, I would want communication on what I need to do the hobby honestly, Lamau.
I mean, that would help a lot of new people, right? With gravity. It says, "Hey, Liam and squad. Find this model, hopefully in one piece. May it help start your studio channel chapter. May he be the beatstick your chapter deserves. All the best, Carl." So, because he can send it to a PO box, he started first model of a channel chapter. If you guys want to add to it, I can add pictures of the basing onto the because I feel like if all the basing is uniformed, right, then everything else can be any color you guys want, really. As long as the basing colors are uniformed. We'll just get the colours off of Carl. We're good to go.
Stop making units into legends. Update the rules and allow 3D printed or alt versions of those units. Nothing worse than seeing units disappear.
Okay. Thoughts on this one, James? Okay. I feel like if they allowed 3D printed or alternative versions, that's a dangerous rabbit hole for them to dive down, don't you think? I feel like that's a can of worms they don't want to open. I feel like if they're going to legend something, at least if they give us plenty of notice, it's less of a problem for most people, don't you reckon? But I do also see where you're coming from in terms of people not getting feels bad for having models and units they now can't use. So I get that. I'm totally behind that not being a thing. I would arguably want them to create Legends rules for every single unit that is no longer produced by them. However, this is where that legal problem comes up. If they produce a rule set for models, but they do not produce the models for it, they cannot stop any other company creating the models for it. Which for most of us, we're going to say, hey, that's not a problem. That's fine. But that's because we're not Games Workshop. And we then don't have the situation where we've got lots of other third-party companies creating things for our products that aren't even bit sites. I wouldn't mind betting there's a little part of Games Workshop that hates even bit sites. People like Cromlech or people like Anvil Industries. Joe, his Valhallans are Krieg bodies from the new plastic Krieg kits with Anvil Industry heads. Anvil Industries have got some of the best guard upgrade pieces on the interweb for 3D printed resin pieces. I've had gas mask Brodies and all kinds of stuff off of Anvil Industries. They create some incredible stuff. But I would bet in fact that Games Workshop in their little heads will go, we don't even like those bit sites. But strictly they can't stop them because they're not copying sculpts. They're not copying IP directly. Some of them are worse than others, don't get me wrong. But they're not copying IP directly, right? However, that itself is probably going to irk them. Now, if they were, however, creating rule sets for full units and had no models, if another company, and this is my understanding of it, to be clear, I'm not in intellectual property law, and I'm not an intellectual property lawyer, so I could be talking out of my backside right now, but as I understand it, if they created a rule set for a set of models, and they did not create that set of models, and another company came out here and made a full set specifically for those models, I believe that Games Workshop have no legal power whatsoever to stop them. If a creator came out and took the new Banshee sculpts, for example, and created 3D printed versions of the exact same Howling Banshee sculpts and stuck them on the interwebs and called them Howling Banshees, and they were 3D printed, they were half the price, I believe GW's legal team have a lot more strength to say, pack it in, take them down, get rid of them. It's my understanding of it anyway. So, James, as much as I don't disagree with you about putting things into, like, I don't like the idea of people having things they can't use anymore, there is a fine line to be drawn here between how they look after their business, how they look after their intellectual property, and how they make sure they're continuing to be the ones to make money off of what is their intellectual property. That being said, I go back to my particular point, what they need to do. I go back to communication, right? If they communicated what they were going to do in advance, it's less of an arsehole when this shit happens. It's just, if they at least told you, hey, in 6 months, the new guard book's coming out, and when we update the guard book, engineers from Krieg are going into Legends in 6 months. Not only going to go into Legends, we're going to cease producing models for them. At least if they communicated in advance, so we had prior warning that this was coming, when it does happen, people don't feel so put out about the fact that this has happened, right? It's not so much of a problem. It's still a problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem. It's just not so much of a problem simply because you know it's coming. There's a lot of things that happen in the world, and a lot of things that happen to us now. Bills are going up. We're not happy about it, but at least we know it's coming, right? So because at least we know it's coming, we're a little bit less like, what the fuck? If no one ever told us energy bills are going up. Imagine if that happened and then they just went up. It'd be fucking public outcry. It's a public outcry anyway. This is what I'm trying to get. It doesn't stop the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't remove the problem. But it makes it more palatable when these things happen, in my opinion anyway. This is why I circle back round to communications to the key.
I'm late to the show, but for me the one thing GW needs to do is move to digital codexes and rulebooks.
Now, Eric, what I find really strange about this is digital exists. I've had this comment loads from people. They need to move to digital codexes and digital rulebooks. It exists right now. Currently a thing. It's bad and it doesn't work properly. So this is, if I may, I'm going to tweak your super chat slightly because I agree with you, but I'm going to tweak it slightly. I'm going to say they don't need to move to digital codexes and rulebooks because they already have it, but they need to move to a system that works and works well. Okay? That's what I want from them. So the app, they have all of the I don't know how many of you out there use the app. They have all of the codexes on there. You have to put a code in after you've bought the physical book, which is a bit of a shitter. So I wish they gave you an option to buy the code separately and individually from the physical book, physical book. But you get all of the rules on the app. There's the core rules are on the app. Hard to find things, not laid out very well, often doesn't work, often incorrect. Right? So it does exist currently in digital. It's just not done very well. So they need to do it well.
I agree with Dave B.
What's he say?
A ring binder.
That was my idea before. Like, imagine if you had a ring binder of rules and you could, if they had to issue a new datasheet update, you could just download it and print it off and put it in your ring binder. When you go to your tournament and you've only got 10 units out of your 50 unit codex, just get rid of the 40 units you're not going to use. Just have you've just got your streamlined rules. Mm-hmm. We had loads of ideas in this one. We had loads of ideas for ring binder type stuff. I saw another comment in there as well from James. I need to find it because he says, knowing you're going to get bummed doesn't make it any more palatable. It does, because you just put lube on it, James. That's the point. This is the whole point. At least if you know it's coming, you can prepare yourself for it. I'm not saying it makes it better. I'm not saying it completely solves the problem if you know it's coming. But if you know it's coming, you can get the KY out, at least. It's better than going in dry. Innit?
I wouldn't know.
So yeah, to be clear, Narek, I agree with you. Like, I think digital rules are the way they should be going. I would still want the option to buy physical books. What I don't like is you're forced to buy a physical book to get the digital rules. Back in 7th edition, you could buy the digital rules on iBooks separately, and it was the same price as a codex, but you didn't have to have the physical one if you didn't want to. And there were interactive codexes as well, so you would have the full codex. You put a flick page per page on iBooks. If there was a rule, it had a highlight hypertag. You click it, or hyperlink, sorry, you click it, and it brought up the rule book box. They used to do it really well. Like, it was really good. And they got rid of them all, and I don't know why. Well, that's a lie. I know why they got rid of the iBooks versions of codexes, because they wanted you to fucking invest in this app, which is a piece of shit. Rins Gravity says, lube does make things better. See? Exactly. You know. Digital means they can scrap physical entirely. The rules cannot be updated properly if things need to go to print. Agree. agree. But I still personally and I'm an individual, and I don't think I'm alone here. 241 people in chat. Put your hand up in chat if you're someone who also wants to continue to be able to buy a physical book. Out of interest. Just out of interest. Because here's the other thing, right? They, as a company, do have to make changes that benefit them as a business. Sometimes we often forget, potentially because of the industry that we've surrounded ourselves by, but we forget the Games Workshop is in fact a business, and they therefore have to make business-based decisions that affect their profit and loss and will impact their shareholders. And they have to make those right decisions to make sure their shareholders are still making money and they're still in the green and making the right profits. And we often forget that. And we have to say they should do this, 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 and this. Right? They're not going to not want to do that because they need to make money, and they need to make money by keeping their fan base happy. Sometimes they're going to get rid of things which they don't want to get rid of, but it makes good business sense. Having said that, I often think that, again, we talk about communication. One of the things they could do better is really dig in and communicate with their audience, right? I can't believe, I couldn't believe a few years ago, I think it was now, that they started to actually release questionnaires to the audience. I actually took my hat off to them for that one. I didn't think they'd ever do that. They started to release questionnaires. Why did they release questionnaires? Because they actually gave a fuck about what we were saying back to them, and they accumulated the feedback from the people that, if they do this again, by the way, 250 people in chat, right? If they do this again, please, everybody in chat, promise me you will fill in that questionnaire. Be as honest as you want, be as savage as you want, but please fill in that questionnaire. Because one of the reasons why I'm quite happy to sit here and moan about some of the things they do and don't do, and one of the reasons why I'm happy to be publicly praising some of the things they do and don't do. I filled in every questionnaire they've sent out. It's like having a view on your country's politics but not voting. You need to be involved in the process if you're going to moan about what they aren't doing, you know? So please, 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 if they kick out another questionnaire, make it worth their time and actually fill it in for them. Okay, so prove my point. You guys prove my point. Thank you so much. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of hands up in chat, right? Tons of hands up in chat for people that want physical codexes. So this proves my point. A lot of people are still going to want a physical codex, and this is where I go down the and I'm not trying to pick on whoever it was who said pure digital, no physical, but this is where I go down there when I talk about what's the one thing they need to do, what's the one thing Games Workshop needs to do. The reason why I come away from the make the rules purely digital, remove competitive play, reduce stratagems, again, all things I'm on board with. I'm conscious that isn't necessarily the overwhelming feeling of the whole 40k community. So if you look at all the people that just put their hands up who still want a physical book, if Games Workshop removed physical books altogether and just went full digital, you're going to piss probably most of those people off. You're just going to upset them because all those people that put their hands up, they want a physical book. However, I loop back round to, if they told us in advance that they were going to do this, if they then showed us some kind of semblance of product testing for an application to include the rules, etc., and if they did it in a way that didn't look like it was simply money grabbing, a lot of us who like physical books, I'm one of them, I love physical books, a lot of us would be more accepting of the change. I'm not going to bore you with management techniques, but this all sits within change management. And change management is doing things like informing stakeholders, right? Not a bloke said there was some meat, right? But it's about making sure that those who have a vested interest are informed in advance, can ask questions.
Index Books FTW.
That was a great move and something that I do hope I see them do in the future. Radio Free Armageddon. 100%. There is, of course, ways that they can do a mix. So I've seen some of this in chat already. I've seen some of you guys have said this. So here's a thing that you can do. You could release a physical book that has narrative, and I'm a person who would personally like every new codex to have a slight advancement of narrative for the individual faction, painting guides, stuff like that in them, right? That's fine. That you could put that in a book, and then you could release digital versions of rules. So I've said narrative and painting guides. There's a lot more you could put in there, clearly. But then you could release digital versions of rules. So that's points, its weapon upgrades, stratagems, etc. So when they modify the rules of their constant and incessant FAQs, it updates your digital version for free, but your book is still something you can physically hold. So I get given free books by Games Workshop. I'm very lucky they supply me with free codexes. I bought this. This is the limited edition Eldar Codex. I bought this one because I like having a physical book. And when they release a limited edition Eldar one, I'm the sad twat who sits there at 10 o'clock refreshing the button so I can buy the limited edition book. Because I love having the physical book, and this is my favourite army.
GW needs to stop trying to please everyone.
Agree, Gaz, as well. I do agree with that one. But as much as I agree they don't need to please everyone, they need to at least try and please the majority. Carl, thank you for 5 gifts.
Problem is releasing broken rules/armies. Lots of corrections negatively impact the value of physical codex and cards.
So, and this is a case in point of this as well. It wasn't broken necessarily, Niall, but talking about invalidating a book, I spent extra money on this because it's a limited edition codex, right? What do I get? I get fancy front artwork, I get coloured edges of pages, I get a book tag here, and I know that I've got one of like 50 books or one of 200 books, whatever it was. That's all you get for having a fancy codex and paying more money. But because I am a full-blown 100% Eldar fanboy, that's why I bought this book. Within about 4 weeks of them releasing this book, the Autarch datasheet was updated by Games Workshop, and they released a new PDF of the Autarch datasheet very quickly after the book came out, which essentially invalidates that page. That page became invalidated within about a month of the book released. So, within a month of me buying a limited edition, more expensive codex, it was out of date. So, this is why big, thick book full of narrative, painting guides, cool projects they've shown you at Games Workshop, lots of photos, etc., etc., etc. 100% behind that. Keep the books for those things, and I'd still buy the limited edition ones. Make them fancy, bookmarks. I remember the old ones. They used to have a little envelope that used to sit in the back that said, "You are book number 372 of 500," and that was it. I used to love that shit. I'm like, fucking hell, I've got one of 2,000 in the world. Like, cool, do that. Digital rules, where they're going to update it a month later, make it digital. Make it digital. 100%. But yes, Gaz, I completely agree with you, mate. Pleasing everyone pleases no one. Or trying to please everyone pleases no one. It's just a fact. Right? You're just never going to do it. It's impossible. So, any business's aim should be to please the majority of their audience.
What do you think about GW selling a printable codex, so you could swap out pages in a binder when an FAQ comes out?
So Doombringer, thank you for the donation, you legend. So this is the idea that we had, right? Oh, by the way, Carl of Hodgie, you're a hero. You helped us hit the target. Do you want to set a new target, or do you want to leave it at full? You tell me. It's up to you guys tonight. I'm not gonna go bold and go, let's go 600 in November, because it's not gonna happen, right? Anyway, so Doombringer, this is a great idea. This is something that we discussed before, right? Here's how I would do codexes, and I'm conscious that people are gonna have some very strong feelings about this. This is how I would do a codex. When a codex is released, I would sell a pack, okay? A4 size pack. In your pack, what do you get? Okay, so you get a book like this, kind of, but not as thick. Has everything I've just told you about in it. In a hardback book, in this book, what you would get is you would get a set of narrative, a set of painting guides, timeless stuff. Timeless stuff that's never going to change, right? It'll be thinner because it wouldn't have all the rules in. And that would be the hardback book that would form the backbone of your pack that you just bought when your new codex came out. What you would also get in the same pack, at the same size, with this kind of artwork on it, is you would get a ring binder. Okay? You get a ring binder, and it would be empty. And then what you would also get is a sealed pack of data sheets. Okay? This is where it becomes a little bit less... Oh, no, actually, you wouldn't need to. It could just be the same pages that you get. So you could just take these pages and you could turn them into 2 data sheets, right? And then, when you build your army on Battlescribe or the app or whatever you choose to do, you open your clip, you put in your ring binder, you close it down, right? And you only take the data sheets that you need for your army, okay? You then put your stratagems in there, you put your warlord traits in there, you put your relics in there. They released an update. They changed a stratagem from 1 CP to 2 CP. Or they changed the wording. Or they realised a typo. Or they completely changed an alt-art data sheet. Games Workshop give you free to download and print the updated version. So you can remove your old cardboard version. You can insert the new cardboard version. Here's where I get controversial. I would also like them to offer me a £1 opportunity to order a glossy cardboard version. Don't know how that would work. So I can go to the website, because I've put my code in to say that I've got my Aldari Codex. I could go to the website, put in my digital code. They know I've got the Codex. I can look at the fact that these 3 sheets have been updated. I can choose to send them to our printer in colour, print them off, hole punch them, put them on my ring binder. I can do that. Or I can go on the website with my little code, pay £3 and get 3 glossy cardboard things through the post. And I update my ring binder. Like, how about that for a system? Is it me, or is that just too easy? Am I wrong, people? Carl, I've seen it. You said 515. I've set 515 as a goal. 9 more to go, people. Oh, no, I did it the wrong way around. Hang on. Hang on. There we go. Done it. Fixed it. That's my way of doing codexes. That would be my way of doing codexes. Every time they FAQ a rule, every time they change the wording of a stratagem, every time they say, you can use this stratagem once now, just reprint the page of stratagems that has that stratagem on it. Easy.
Based on that old data, who should they make the rules for? If 80% of their customers play on average 0 to 1 times a year, or the 3% that play 1+ times a mon?
All right, that's a hard question to answer, JC. And I don't think I have an answer for that one, if I'm honest with you. I don't believe they should just focus on narrative rules, and I don't believe they should build the rules around competitive rules. And this is where I do wildly sympathise with the job that they have to do. And I do wildly sympathise with the job they have to do. Now, I'm now sounding like what I'm saying to you is they should try and please all the people all the time. No, they shouldn't do that. That's not the case. But in terms of having a competitive rule set and a narrative rule set, they need something that works for both. And this is where I think this edition we've came away from what was the core that made it so good before. I've said this a few times in recent streams. In 8th edition, we had a core edition, and it was the ITC that built a competitive edition. And this time, we've had Games Workshop try to build the competitive edition. I feel like that's where it's gone wrong, personally. Saying all these things, I do think there's stratagem bloat. I do think there's rules bloat. But saying all these things, I'm currently enjoying my 40k so much. So I was hanging out in the VT stream before this one, and Steve had said that what he's decided to do recently is stop trying to meta chase, and he settled down on an army. Hang on.
But congrats on 20k.
Thank you, Michael. And he went back to one of his favourite armies. He's just playing that one again, and he's really enjoying it. That's exactly... I've had the exact same experience lately. I was trying to build this and trying to build that and trying to paint something else and trying to build this list and trying to build that list. I've just gone back to my Eldar, and I'm like, fuck it, I just want to build this for a while. And I'm having so much fun right now with my hobby. So I will add the caveat when I say that they shouldn't focus on competitive, that I am really enjoying my hobby right now, and I'm actually quite enjoying playing 9th edition on the whole. Some nuances that I don't like, but on the whole I am quite enjoying it. So anyway, thank you Michael Cody for the late but congrats.
One job make Red Corsairs meta.
They are kinda already. Well, you're just bad with them. But you've got 5 favourite game votes. What more do you want? It's worth more than any first place, right? Big shout, John Brickett, gifted 5 memberships.
Speaking of FAQ, the new changes to beam weapons. What's your thoughts?
Thank you, James. So we had some questions about beam weapons this week at the GT. Every change to the beam weapons that they put in that FAQ, I say change, every clarification that they put in the beam weapons that FAQ was how we ruled it this weekend. So I'm okay with... No, that's a lie, actually. Everything we ruled this weekend, we ruled it on a harsher way. So the 2 hits at range, then... We're talking about things like the big C-beam weapon on the top of the land fortress, okay? Targets a unit 30 inches away, rolls 2 hit dice. If it rolls 2 hit dice, it generates 4 hits. How we were playing it. The target takes 4 hits. Every single unit on the beam would only take 2 hits because of the the way it was worded in generating hits. Okay, the FAQ seems to indicate today that everything on that beam weapon takes double hits instead of 2 hits. It takes the 4 because it's created 4 hits and you roll on the beam. Seems very strong, very powerful. And I don't know if I agree with that FAQ, but they have. That's what they've done. Right. What they have also said, though, with beam weapons is you can hit your own men. So you can kill your own men with beam weapons. There is an argument. There's a specific league out there where if you are below starting strength, you get +1 to hit. If I was that league now, I'd be taking all the fucking beam weapons, kill a guy in each squad, +1 to hit everywhere. Lovely job. Lovely job, right? Anyway, yes, thanks John Brickett for gifting 5. You hero. Puts us on 511. 4 away from the total that we set. 52 away from a £100 voucher, just saying. Personally, take note of how Para Bulin Conquest does their army rules, where you get free rulebook as PDF. Each unit kit comes with unit cards and QR code, and scan it to get updated rules. That sounds really nice, doesn't it? Yeah, James, hitting friendly units. They can hit friendly units now. Madness, right? Advance and charge. How can you fail? Says No Who. Exactly. Exactly. Dothar says, am I joining when it's ending again? You are. We start at the same time every Wednesday. Less stratagems, less objectives, please. Yeah, and this is Mr. Scribs. This is the point, right? Me personally, I'm not a fan of the stratagem system. I know some people love it. I'm not a fan personally. I hate it. In terms of the objectives, where it was great in 8th edition was we had Maelstrom of War, we had Eternal War. ITC got hold of it, and ITC had their own set of secondaries, and there wasn't loads. GW, in order to try and make it more varied and keep it more interesting for more people, has made a ton of secondary objectives, which have been very difficult for them to balance. And it is hard to balance them, to give them credit where credit's due. They've done an okay job in places, they've done a terrible job in others. And when you introduce that many rules, it's just hard. It is just hard to balance them. So, does Eldar beam weapons work same as Leagues of Votan now? I have no idea. I mean, there's precedent there now, right? Not the league, but the hitting your own mem beams. Next task, best in faction. You can do it well. I believe in you. I believe in you. Where are we? GW should employ social science students who studying and understand wording for survey questions to avoid ambiguity with rules. It's arguably an inherent problem with the English language. I think if you look at a lot of other gaming systems out there, they have...
Regarding bits, GW should make it so that they had STL files for all GW known successor chapters for shoulder insignias and emblems. Is my wish.
I'm not against that either, but... We're talking about a company that used to sell individual parts. You used to be able to phone up the Games Workshop troll or whatever it was and order a fucking arm. You used to have catalogues where you could buy bits. I mean, they were a much smaller organisation then, but you used to be able to buy bits. So they must know there's a market out there. Having said that, again, they made the business decision to come away from it. So maybe it's not as much of a market as we thought. Yeah, no who. I don't disagree with that about... employing slightly different people for wording. However, I will go as far as to say that I think our language, the English language in general, opens itself quite frequently up to being slightly ambiguous and having potentially janky interactions. I feel like there's other rule systems out there that have just as ambiguous rules in places, but they don't have a player base that can be quite so, they don't have quite so big a player base who can attempt to be quite so gamey and rules lawyery and bendy and go, well, actually, rules as intended, rules as written, etc. Right? Yeah, okay. So I don't disagree with you. They definitely can do a better job of writing rules. What really frustrates is when they have 4 rules that are very, very similar and are on the surface looking like they're doing the same thing, and then when you dig into them, they're all worded wildly differently, and so far, actually, they have a different interaction. But the intent was they had the same interaction. Like, that's the stuff that really pisses me off, right? Okay. Right. I mean, I'm enjoying the discussion right now, so I'm not necessarily going to immediately hit the nail on the head, but it is that time of the night, just in case we do decide to call it a night, because we haven't quite hit that target. We've got 4 to go. But in the meantime...
Orangutans protect their territory by burping loudly to warn off intruders.
So we're saying I must be an orangutan. This is what we're saying, right?
I'm beginning to get some kind of nervous disposition against the sound of that button. The sound.
Why?
Because then I'm like,
It's
find
me,
a fact,
it's me,
find
it's
a
me.
fact. Panic! Don't panic!
Orangutan. Orangutan's burp. I think that sounds believable. That sounds true.
I saw a really sweet video on Facebook earlier of an orangutan that was let back into its pen because it needed a C-section. So brand new baby in a blue blanket. And this orangutan walked in, stared at the blanket, and then the baby moved and it immediately scooped up this baby and held it. Oh my God.
And just crushed it to death.
It was beautiful.
Need more posable models, says Ben Lad. So I have a theory on this, Ben. I think they're coming away from posable on purpose. So here's my theory, right? I said to you earlier in the stream, I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream, but I said to you earlier in the stream that I think that Little Games Workshop up there is a little bit narky about companies like Anvil Industry creating third-party bits. And I genuinely believe that's the case, right? I believe that they aren't happy about it, but it's not a battle worth fighting, so they let it go. Not that I'm saying they definitely could stop it, but it's just a theory, right? Having said that, you start making plastic kits that aren't multi-pose or posable, and they're fixed. And on the first one, you have a left leg that goes into a torso. And on the second one, you have a right leg that goes into a torso. And on the third one, you have a torso with two separate legs. On the fourth one, you have two legs and a torso. And then on the fifth one, you have half a leg in a torso down to half a leg, and you attach the two lower legs. What you do at that point in your box of 5 models is you basically make it impossible for a third-party printer to ever replace the legs. You don't make it impossible, that's a lie. You make it much more difficult for a third party to replace the legs. And so that's where I think they're going with these kits. To be honest with you, as much as I hate duplicate models on the tabletop, I will go as far as to say, look at the models that we had years and years and years and years ago, look at the models we've got now, and I would rather have the models that we've got now with the limited poses than the models that we had then with all the poses. Fun fact. That's where I would be. That's where I would be. What should we do? We need some emojis. I want to ask you something, chat. I could do a poll, but I can't bother to set it up because it'll take ages to get the results in. Right, let's go right at the top of the emojis. Emojis. Okay, let's do it this way around. This is easy, right? Let's do thumbs up for how it is now with less poses but more dynamic coming out the box and I think just prettier sculpts. Or a thumbs down if you prefer the old days of completely posable models in every single model range. Tony Winnick, you fucking legend. Look at you just jumping us over the end right there. You hero. Just saying, chat puts us on 52. You're less than 50 away now from... you're less than a John McCardle away now from a £100 voucher. I bought an old Orc boss back in the day and had 2 right arms instead of a left and right. I called GW and they could not send me a replacement because they had stopped making it. Oh my. Oh, hang on. So we got thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs down. It's interesting. There's a couple of thumbs down coming in. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. Christopher just puts a finger up. Why not? AB thumbs down. Oh, this is interesting. Plague of Shadows goes sideways. Why not? More thumbs up. Okay. Okay. I love converting dynamically posed models. I mean, I've built... I've kind of... John McCardle's now a unit of measurement. He is indeed. Fucking legend he is. I've basically just submitted to one arm and a head change to change the posing of these models nowadays. Right? That's what I've done. And I'm kind of okay with it. I'm like ever so subtle, slight changes, so I haven't got the exact same model twice. That'll do. I'm okay with it now. Let's not remember we've done this like weird like trough thing, right? When GW started and everything was LED, they were not posable models. They weren't posable models, okay? And then we changed into this world of multi-pose plastic Space Marines, etc., where arm swaps and head swaps and stuff was super fucking easy. Some factions out there, Eldar Banshees, etc., still remain monopose. And then we've come back to this point where we are now with Primaris, etc., where they're still kind of multi-part, but on the whole, they're fixed. And Banshees are still kind of multi-pose, apart from you can do 2 or 3 poses per model with things like Rangers, etc. And so I think we're in a better place than we ever were right at the start. We had that little part in the middle where people were spoilt by having multi-part plastic kits that they could do multi-pose on. I think we're in a better place now, personally. I just do think we're in a better place now, personally. And the other thing I think of now is, okay, if I get my plastic, let's find one. If I get my plastic Ranger now, right, that's monopose, but if I want to kit bash it, it's plastic. Do you know what I can do with plastic? I can cut it with a scalpel and with snips really easily. I fucking couldn't do that with the old metal ones. Well, I could. It wasn't easy. Right? Wasn't easy. Anyway. Interesting that a lot of you, it looks like, are happy with it currently. As a not disproportion. There's more people with thumbs down than I expected. A couple of feats in there. I like that. Just a couple of random emojis. Brilliant. Amazing. Thank you. Right. Cool. Okay. With that, then it's 10 past 10. And our kids are still awake, aren't they?
Yeah, your time management is shocking on these things.
It is not.
It'll only be an hour.
It's normally pretty good.
I've actually got work to do. I've got emails to do.
50 Chaos Cultists and every 3 models they repeat. It's like hanging wallpaper. Yeah, it is. But Kai, there's lots of other kits out there you can use for Chaos Cultists. Like Ash Waste Nomads, I think, make great Chaos Cultists. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You're beautiful people. You're amazing people. We love you very dearly. Thank you for all your incredible support throughout November. It means the world to us. You're amazing. Tomorrow is the 1st of December. The 1st of December comes with the first Thursday stream of December. And the first Thursday of every month is, guess what? It's Chat Plays. So tomorrow night, the World Eaters run into the Tyranids in Chat Plays. Very excited for Chat Plays tomorrow night. So make sure you come and hang out with us for that particular stream. Friday sees the return of 40k After Dark at 9:30. I'll be sat here drinking even more. I had an idea for another topic as well. I can't remember what it was. I've forgotten it now. I had a great idea. I was like, I'll do this one on Friday. This will be a great one. And now I forgot what it is. So, cool. You're all amazing. Thank you, Ken Peters, for becoming a member. You are now able to join the Discord. So, !Discord in chat. Come and hang out with us. Thank you so much. You're a hero. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Lucy, anything you want to say before we go?
Boobs.
Boobs. That's it. That's what we're going to end on. Boobs.